our first call to the public. Do we have anybody? No? All right. Then we will go to our treasurer's report with Julie.
Hello, everybody. Right now, wrapping up the settlement for 2025 tax collection. Vouchers have been submitted. Just a few little things to wrap up. It'll all be taken care of this week. Roughly 4.5 million payout for that. And then we have a little break before we start the summer collection and start the whole cycle all over again. Dog licenses, selling a few every day. We're at roughly 2416, I believe, 2,416 have sold. And other than that, I don't have anything new, I guess, going on in the office. We're working with the new credit card system. The offices are doing great. It's been an adjustment. Anytime we're learning something new processes new, but we're figuring it out and learning that, helping all the departments, all getting used to this new system we're using. It'll be fine. Just again, learning something new process.
Don't we just love change?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, that's just the status right now, I guess. Gary?
Does anybody really know how many dogs there are in the county? I mean, unofficial. I mean, I just.
Years ago, they did a census. Years ago, a census was done, but I would say that was maybe even 15, 20 years ago.
I didn't view that.
It was a long time ago.
Maybe more than 2,416.
Yes, quite a few more, I'm sure.
You think that's double?
Oh, I think it's double, triple that.
Oh, even
Easy.
more.
Yeah.
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 It's gotta be.
I just thought I would describe it.
I know, yeah, it's really low. I don't know what our answer is for it. But yeah.
I had one more thing, Julie, and this
Sure.
is redundant, so I apologize. When you talk about disbursements, so those are tax monies that come into the county to your office, and then we disperse them, which does show up in our disbursements,
Right.
but that's not what you would consider a bill or a payable. It is a pass-through, because I think even though we went over this ad nauseum, there is still a perception when we look at our bills that those are all bills. Some of that is pass-through, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So like the example, the pass-through would be what we collect for RESG and we submit then to them. That would be one example of just a pass through the things we collect and then we have to pass on to the.
And as a pass-through, it ends up in our budget, but we all know that this is money, we just do this with our, what you call our real controllable budget is more like our general fund budget, which is in the low 20s.
Yeah, right around 20,
Not
30.
80 or $100 billion in our total budget. So the numbers can be somewhat deceiving if people don't know what they're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right, anything else for Julie?
I don't.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I would also like to highlight that we get, along with our invoice edit reports, for all the bills that are paid, we do get periodically from our finance director a budget versus actual report. So if you look at the last page, which I'm doing, and I know you don't have it with you right now, last year we did spend $93,755,000. Much of that was pass-through money like Julie and I just talked about. To date, this year we have spent 27 million, not 40 million, 27 million. We are at 26.48% of our budget used for the year. And I may just repeat that on Wednesday, so bear with me, just to make sure that sinks in. And that will bring us to our first agenda item. I would look for a motion to approve the L 4029 form as presented to establish the 2026 summer tax millage rates and authorize the chairman and clerk to execute that document.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. We do have Dr. Boggs via some kind of technology that Morgan has done for us.
Howdy.
Did you have anything
So
else?
the L4029 in front of you is last month or the month before, as you remember, we were going over what we predicted we would take in. This is the actual placement of the millage to collect the money on the taxes so that we can collect our operating millage. It is going to be about $528,000 of additional new revenue based on the increases in taxable value, not based on increases in taxes. Our tax rate this year is held the same. It was 5.55 and then dropped down to 5.35 under Headley, but there's no change this year.
Perfect.
All right, any questions on the L4029?
Well, if there's no change, then why would we be getting an additional $528,000 from?
Because the taxable value has increased, not the rate of collection.
So as we've said before, Matthew, the state sets an inflation rate multiplier for the entire state of Michigan. And our taxable value increases every year by that multiplier. It's not something we do here at the county. It's not something they do at the local level. It's a multiplier across the state. Anything else on the 4029?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor of moving that forward signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay, and we will see that on Wednesday. I would look for a motion to approve the annual software renewal for the Mattel phone software and the conversion to virtual controllers not to exceed $14,631.22.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, Dr. Boggs.
Very briefly, part of this is the annual renewal of the license, the software that runs our phone system. The other part is changing to a virtual system because the hardware system that we have is out of date and can't be upgraded any longer. As you remember, we purchased a virtual server array before, and part of that array allows us to create new servers, and we will now put the phone system on one of those virtual arrays so that it can continue to receive updates and service.
Perfect.
Okay, seems pretty straightforward. Any
Yep.
questions on that? All right, all those in favor of moving this forward signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay, and we'll see that on Wednesday. I would look for a motion to approve the award of the third-party administrative services for the Mishta CDBG infrastructure project, Creek Point subdivision, to FLB Collective in an amount not to exceed $50,000 and authorize the board chairman and county clerk to execute the necessary documents.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Dr.
So
Boggs.
as you're aware, we received a $619,000 grant to finish off the infrastructure project in Creek Point subdivision in Durand. It's kind of a semicircle at the moment. When it's done, it'll be a complete circle. The subdivision will be complete. Part of this is requiring third-party administration. Now, we do get a certain amount of this that will go to pay some of our staff time, but the overall grant management, environmental procurement, the accounting, the reports, and other is brought out to a third-party individual. We received 3 closed bids, and this is the lowest of the bids. We have worked with Sarah and her team before, and we recommend continuing to work with them on this project.
Very good. Perfect.
All right, sounds like a win-win.
Yep.
Any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And that passes. Which brings us to our second call to the public. Seeing no one, we're adjourned. Thank you.
He's got dogs.
When was that really for the 911?
I said, thank you, it's just a surcharge.
Huh?
It's not, this is no.
Well, I mean, that day, is that?
Okay, we'll see you Wednesday.
I mean, August?
Yes.
I knew it was coming, I couldn't remember exactly what it is, someone asked me, so. Oh, okay.
Yes, yep, they're gonna do that.
Okay, oh,
Needed
great,
to, so.
okay, great. Sam, how are you?
We can't control rate of inflation.
That millage for 35 cents for the 911, that's in August, right?
Yep,
I couldn't remember if it's August or.
yep, August.
Somebody's gonna ask me. I looked through it and memorized it all, you know.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
mean, it,
Rate, they got more money. Prices go up, costs go up, so taxes end up going up.
Whenever you're ready, take your time.
I'm good,
All right,
thank you.
all right, let's call this meeting of Econ and Fiscal Development Committee to order. Please stand and rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I might just mention that
Yes.
Commissioner Haley is not able to attend today, so I will be acting as Commissioner Haley du jour.
Okay, perfect. All right, with that note, we will go to our first call to the public. Hearing none, we will move to Community Development Report with Mr. Pete Preston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 15 zoning permits, 25 building permits, and 27 code enforcement actions. We did spend a little time in district court for 2 cases over the last month. One dismissed and one continued for allow some time for the violation to remedy itself. We also had approximately 7 homes started throughout the county. However, we are very slow right now with the economy, so to speak, and with the gas prices and stuff. So we've definitely experienced a slowdown. Other than that, I will be presenting to Woodhull Township and the southern tier of the county. Woodhull Township has organized space for the local townships to come and look at the draft zoning ordinance that was sent to them by the Planning Commission. So I'll be there to answer questions, catch pitchforks, whatever the case may be. So
Do you have a time?
May 19th at 6 p.m.
If I could ask one
Yeah,
quick
absolutely.
question.
If you're all done.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
So when I reviewed that, and I haven't been part of that process at all, so we are gonna lift that 2.5 maximum. But there is no maximum then?
Right, there would be no maximum, there'd be a minimum of 180,
One.
which matches what the state and the health department would consider safe for sanitary, for on-site systems.
Okay,
Now, we do have some work to do, there's still some discussion to take place in the A1 district that we had previously, what to do with that, and what are the thoughts there. So that's again, it's a recommendation right now. The planning commission has put it out to the township so they can dig their teeth into it. There are some other changes such as, junk and debris being removed from the ordinance as not being, police power of the county. There's were some changes that, to minimum structure size and such. So there are some changes in there, and that's what the townships have asked. What I was doing was getting calls from multiple townships to come to each of their meetings. And Woodhull Township, Mr. Daunt was open enough to say, how about we make our space available and we at least invite the southern tier in.
right, okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Further questions for Mr. Preston? Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
I just see on here it says Dan Winters is accessory building and it's got the value is $50. What's that?
That's just the permit fee.
Oh,
That was just the zoning permit fee.
oh, they don't have what the building, how much they're spending or anything? or-
Right, we do have that associated with the building permit, but I think he might have been doing an accessory structure. I can double check that one. Is
Yeah,
on-
it says accessory, but that's what I didn't know. When I was online, I see some of them said they're building a new house and I had the value on some of them.
Right, and we do have that on our building permit report. I think Dan was putting on an ag building, so we were just doing it under our zoning.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, some of the reports we can't change in BSNA, and so sometimes you get, same format, but different labels and such.
okay. I was just curious, so, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look at under the monthly building permit report, the value of some of them are in there.
We do have a meeting going on, just so you know. Thank you.
Okay. Did you get your question answered, Gary?
Yes, some.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right, with that, then we'll move to agenda items. Agenda I would look for a motion to approve the interlocal agreement to use the DDA tax increment revenues for Jaden Way's brownfield redevelopment project.
So moved.
I'll support that. All right, discussion on Jaden's Way. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
very briefly,
Oh.
if you would.
Go ahead.
Very briefly, you approved a brownfield redevelopment plan for this, a couple of months ago. The property, occurs in the DDA development, which means the DDA must give up its portion of it and turn it over to the brownfield redevelopment plan so that we can capture for development. And that's what this agreement does. I do believe we have someone in the audience from Fleece and Vanderbrink, to provide additional details if needed.
We do. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm Lauren with Fleece and Vandenbrink. I think I've met you all before, but just remind you of me. Yes, this plan was approved by this body back in February. This agreement is between the Village of Morris, DDA, and the Shiawassee County BRA. It's being brought to you for your consideration because it does impact the county. This interlocal agreement allows the Village of Morris, DDA, to transfer 100% of the taxed incremental revenue generated on the property to the BRA. It's been approved by the BRA, and the DDA is anticipated to review this agreement at their next board meeting, which is on the 27th. Without this agreement, there would be no increment available to reimburse the developer. If there's any additional questions?
I think this is an additional step, only like Brian said, only because it's within the village DDA limits.
Right,
Yeah.
so the DDA is waiving
They're right.
their capture of this and allowing it to go to the TIF is my understanding of this. These things get a little complicated.
Yeah.
Do they have an idea when they're gonna start digging and?
It'll be this year. Yeah, but no exact date.
All right. Further discussion? Thank you. All right, all in favor of moving that on to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we'll see that Wednesday. Next, I would look for a motion to approve the remonumentation peer review group members and the remonumentation contracts as recommended by the surveyor.
I'll make the motion.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll support it.
Support? Thank you. Discussion?
The remonumentation program is funded by a grant, and they are continuing to work on it, and these individuals review what has been done on the project.
I've been here quite a few years, and I think it must be getting pretty close to be done. I would think after all this time. I don't know what the.
Last time I asked him, it was close to 90%.
Yeah, I knew it'd been getting up there pretty high. So.
Yeah, as long as I can remember, they've
Yeah.
been doing it.
All right, perfect. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving that on to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we'll see that Wednesday. Lastly, we have a discussion item regarding the sample blight ordinance and interlocal agreement.
This is simply for discussion and presentation to those townships that are doing their own we're doing their own planning and zoning, because we do not have the police powers to implement blight elimination. That is a local power. The townships that we serve, who are not doing their own planning and zoning, could adopt this model ordinance and then enter into a local government agreement with us for its enforcement. At this time, we're interested if that is the direction that the Board of Commissioners would like to proceed, and Pete is there for it. And then each and every township that we serve that does not do their own planning and zoning, we would have to enter into a local agreement like the one attached after the ordinance is adopted by them.
Okay. Pete, do you want to discuss this at all?
I don't have too much to add. We've discussed this in the past, is that, you know, we don't have the police powers on some of these junk and debris. They seem to be the item that the townships are most concerned about. So what we provided is a try to attempt for uniformity, because the county would hate to be enforcing 10 different ordinances. And so if they want to eventually contract with the county, then it has to be this resolution or this ordinance, because we feel that's most enforceable and that we could carry forward.
Okay.
Do we have an ordinance that we're gonna
So,
look at or not?
so included in the packet here is
I guess it is.
a sample ordinance.
Oh.
And the way that it would have to work if the commission, if the board was so inclined, whichever township wanted to work with the county to do this would need to pass an ordinance, because the township has the power to actually have the ordinance. And then what they do is they then turn around and enter into a contract with the county to use Pete's time and expertise in order to help them enforce it. Go out and look at the properties, send the notification letters, tell people what's wrong. Maybe if they have to go to court to testify and say this is what was wrong and why it needs to be fixed. But the local township would, if they wanted to, they would choose to pass the ordinance. It would become their ordinance. And then they would turn around and contract with the county, and then Pete's people would go out and help them enforce it. The township or the township's lawyer would still be the one going to court. The county wouldn't be doing that. The county wouldn't be the party to any of the litigation if it came to litigation. We would be simply providing services to the townships to assist them in helping with this and helping them enforce their ordinance. So that's how it would work. And so at this point, none of this is official, because it would take one of the townships making a decision to go forward, passing the ordinance, and then to put this all into effect. So we may be in a situation where we come back a little ways down the road and have a contract with the township for the board to approve and say, hey, this, I forget who's Bennington Township, for example. So Bennington Township might get right on this, pass this ordinance, negotiate this contract, and we might come back then and have the contract say, okay, Bennington wants to take us up on this. They've done what they need to do. Now here's the contract so that they can use Pete's, office to do it, because since it's not something that the county has the power to do, it's not really within Pete's scope, and so for him to do it would be a service that he would provide, and that hence the fees that he's outlined in this contract, which I think are pretty reasonable. They're hourly fees to go and do testifying, to consult, and then there's some fixed fees to go and do an inspection.
We got that in here. I guess
Yeah,
I didn't
we
look
do.
all the way through it, I guess.
Yeah. So the highlights of it would be that we would charge $65 for an inspection to go out and look at a property, and then $65 an hour to process complaints, schedule, issue, do the violation. So that's the hourly rate for working on their cases, and then attending meetings and things or legal proceedings if required, that's $65 an hour. And then we put in that the rates will go up by 3% each year, just so that we don't have to keep revisiting this contract every year and adjusting the rates, right? Because these are a pain to do every year. And we all know that 3%, I think, is a very reasonable placeholder for inflation, especially given today's environment. So that's kind of the structure, and it sounded like what Brian was asking at this point was if there was discussions, and just a sense of the board that we want to proceed down this path.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that one of the things, since again, it's probably not, universal knowledge in the townships that they have the police power and we don't. That we have no power to pass this. I think it would end up incumbent upon several or all of us on this board to start going to the townships, explaining it, seeing what they think, getting feedback, finding out if there's interest. Obviously not all the townships, because a lot of them do their own, plus the city of Owasso, I don't have any townships. Not that I couldn't help with this going to the townships, but we gotta see if they want to clean up their blight, if they are willing to pass this ordinance, if they understand that the power is in their hands, not ours, and are they willing to pay these very modest fees to do it? So I have no idea whether that is something the townships would be interested in, but as you all know, it has come up from time to time over the years, with people questioning, why doesn't the county do something about this? Because we can't.
We can't. Yeah, we're unable to.
And occasionally there's an overlap and Pete is able to do certain things when people perhaps are violating zoning, but that's not blight. The blight is much more specific and probably easier to enforce than trying to fit something into a zoning problem. So I think it's not a bad idea. I mean, if the townships don't want to do anything about it, that's their choice, and then the blight is theirs, it's not ours.
And they can certainly do it on their own still too, right? If they
Of
choose.
course.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
just
They can pass an ordinance and do it on their, exactly.
this is an option that's being offered to them.
Right.
And
It
Pete, I mean, put a lot of work into this already.
I
Right,
doubt,
so
I
that's-
doubt most of the townships have the expertise to do what Pete can do.
Right.
Very similar to like on our land bank, we have the SEDP doing a lot of the expertise work and so on. It's what makes our land bank work. And a blight ordinance, probably having someone who deals with it regularly, but would be a much more effective way than the townships to do it on their own. And we're gonna need to go talk to them and see what they think about it.
The ones that do their own zoning, they still been,
They're on their own,
they're on, okay.
yeah.
How'd we get by? I've been here all those years. How'd we get by all these years without doing anything, Pete? I mean,
We get a lot of complaints.
oh,
Some of the townships do it on their own and have in the past done it on their own. So I've seen, like Venice Township recently has started doing. I mean, so there has been some movement for them because the individual.
that's in the last couple of years though. But I mean, I'm talking about 10 years ago. I didn't.
We tried to fit it in the junk and debris zoning,
And what
which is not.
We really couldn't enforce it like 10 years ago. Then what we
from a legal perspective, by trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, what we're asking for is somebody to hire a lawyer and challenge everything that we did. And then we'd be in a difficult situation to try and defend something that was a bit of a stretch, right? So that's I think that there were workarounds and patches.
Yeah, but 10 years ago we must have. What would we do 10 years ago, Pete? When we had those situations.
We tried to make it a zoning issue when it was properly a blight issue. And the law has continued to develop on that, and we could continue doing that, but we'd be exposing the county to pretty potentially serious.
The laws changed in the last 10 years then?
No, I think that the attorneys have gotten more aggressive in understanding the difference between a zoning ordinance and a blight ordinance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brad, wouldn't you say that, I mean, probably the biggest complaints for the township is this?
Yeah, behind water, roads, and blight.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and the perception has always been this is on us. So I think that kind of some education has taken place.
Yeah, when we found out we didn't have the authority to do anything like
Right.
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago,
that's
we
what
didn't
I wondered.
really.
So speaking for myself, I would be willing to do my part and going out in the community and seeing if we can convince the townships to take this up, see what their interest is.
Just don't drive by my house. I'm like, this is including parts and machinery or motor vehicles. broken toys.
And
I
And-
mean,
Commissioner, you raise a good point. I mean, it's exceedingly contentious. That's the other thing. So when we're doing it at the county level and we're using like the zoning ordinance, it gets very, very tense very quickly. These are tough, I mean, these are tough issues. And so I think to be on the best legal footing is a good thing. To be on the firmest footing that we can be, because we're basically dealing with people's property rights. Right? That's important to be mindful of that.
oh yeah, cause I'm already irritated just looking at it, so, like, ugh.
Looks like to me they're going from one extreme to the other.
Maybe
Yeah,
some-
broken
maybe some-
toys,
Yeah,
unused lawn furniture, I don't have any of that, I don't think.
Well, I think that's why it's here for discussion, talk about what it contains.
Yeah, cause it's
Right.
pretty specific, you know, I don't,
But if you also note, it's a complaint from the township official. This is
Okay.
not staff going around and up and down the streets and identifying there's a big wheel that, you know, should have been thrown in the trash in 85. If this is a township generated, if they feel it's a violation, then they would call and make the complaint, and then the enforcement officer would go out. Then that's the way it would be structured, to be more incumbent upon the township to define what their desires are underneath the ordinance, but it does cover a lot. But
And the township will end up having a whole lot of discretion in what they complain about.
right,
But
but
they
they would
think this rises to, and I don't think there are many of the townships that wanna act like an HOA and have a bunch of busybodies knocking on doors, like he says, they've got that kid toy out there, you move that. I
Well,
don't think there are many townships
you guys
that are
do
like
that in the city.
and the other thing is that under this structure, the township, if they did go that direction, they better have a pretty substantial budget, because they're gonna be paying $65 an hour every time he has to write a letter, and then they're gonna be paying their own attorney, you know, $100, $200, $300 an hour to go into court. And so there are, you know, there's pluses and minuses, balances, and checks and balances, and one of those is, if you want to do all this enforcement, you better be pretty sure that it's worth it, because you're gonna pay for it, right?
So there's a financial incentive for the townships to only, target the egregious cases of blight.
I believe so.
cause I got old wheels I've kept, you know, for years, some old that kind of antique stuff that are out in the, behind the barn and out in my pines. You can't have that, man, they come over there, they could really. I got sandstone out there, I put that, oh, yeah.
We've all,
what's your address, Gary?
but we've all seen houses that you need a blight ordinance for. People with just crap spilling out of their house, out of the garage into the yard, they got neighbors living next to them. You know, we've all probably seen the show Hoarders at one time or another. There are gonna be things like that, and you need some police power when something's out of control. It's much like, to me, it's much like zoning. I'm real big on property rights, and yet we have to have zoning because, you know, you can't have.
If they take this, man, oh, man, if they don't like me, they're gonna be,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
why the decision
yeah,
whether to jump on this
yeah.
lies with your local townships, right? And if there's discussion to be had about it, you know, they need to know what
There's
your,
gonna
what
be a
your
lot of
constituents are
personal-
thinking.
It's gonna be a lot of personal things that people
And
don't
now that
like.
we have a copy of an example, we can go to our townships and ask
Yep.
what they think of this. Is it too restrictive, not restrictive enough? Is it even something they'd like to pursue at all? So it's great to, I know I've talked to a lot of my townships about it before, but with nothing hard to speak to, it's hard
Right.
to understand what it looks like.
Yeah.
They have to decide if they wanna accept this ordinance.
I don't know that there is a
I think
deadline.
I think it's the beginning of a long process,
Yeah.
right?
They have to pass their own ordinance. This is an example of what, the idea was one of it in discussion of whether we should do this or not, because blight has been sort of a low simmering problem. If we're going to have the contract Pete, we need the ordinances to be almost identical. So he's not having to look up each township's ordinance and try to figure out the differences. Pete's not an attorney, so we kind of need a universal ordinance that the townships are willing to pass, that we will then understand and enforce for them, if they want us to. If they never call us, there'll be nothing to enforce. That'll just be the way it is. It'll be, the ball will be in their court.
And I would only append to that, that we will not enforce it for them. We will work with them for them to
Right.
accomplish their enforcement.
Better put. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Further discussion?
And in order for us to work with them, we gotta have this though, right?
We need to have a consistent ordinance
Or
that
else they draw up their own ordinance?
if they draw up their own ordinance and we have 7 different ordinances out there,
Uh-huh.
then they may be in a situation where the county chooses not to enter into a contract to help them because
Oh,
Pete-
okay, that's why I just
yeah,
wanted.
short answer, yes. We need to converge on one thing, or else all Pete's gonna be doing is looking up 17 different ordinances.
Yeah,
And
okay,
$65 an hour ain't enough money for that.
okay, I just wanted to,
Yeah, we need to converge on one
Yeah.
kind of
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
cookie cutter. Unfortunately.
Okay. Further discussion? All right, I think we'll, take this to our townships and see what their feedback is.
Probably either on Wednesdays.
Just as a note, because this is a discussion item, it will not move on till Wednesday, because there's no action to be had. But, please take it to your townships if that's the direction you wish to go.
Okay,
I'll talk to Bill and I will talk to Josh about it.
perfect. Thank you. Okay. No further discussion then. We'll move to our final call to the public for econ and physical development. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.